So we all know that the Lord of the Rings Rings of Power show was an absolute failure, not only financially for Amazon, but also in the fan perception and the Rotten Tomatoes scores, and it seems like it may be even getting worse for Amazon and the showrunners and writers for the show. Let's check it out. If you enjoy videos like this, if you enjoy Rings of Power news or just pop culture news in general with no punches pulled, then hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Let's get into the video. So as you can see on the screen right here, the Rings of Power disaster seems to be getting even worse, and I didn't know that was possible, but once again, all of these disasters that go on, the Santa Inc., the He-Man, the Kevin Smith He-Man show, all these disasters always go on for months and months afterwards because the creators normally won't let their failure go. They won't usually accept failure and say, you know what, next time I'll get better. And it definitely doesn't come from the studios. The studios would never admit that they made a mistake. We've seen that countless times, Disney Star Wars being the most prominent example. We all know that they had no plan for the sequel trilogy, and they know that they had no plan for the sequel trilogy, and they know that we know that they had no plan, but they'll never admit it. They'll go to their graves saying that they had a plan the whole time. Anyway, back to the Rings of Power. It's already dethroned by Nolan's latest, and I believe the show is called Peripheral. I've never heard of the show until literally I read this article. Like I've never heard of it. It had no hype whatsoever. And let me know in the comments if this show is actually a hyped up show. I think it just took over #1 because, honestly, the Rings of Power just wasn't that strong. Nobody wants to watch it after it's finished airing. Everyone who had any sort of interest in the show has already seen the finale. Now nobody's watching the show at all because there's no positive word of mouth to make people want to go watch it. So now there's a new show that came out, Peripheral, and just simply based off the fact that it's a new show, that it's a new content, people are going to watch that instead of Rings of Power because nobody cares about that anymore. And if we go back and look at the Nielsen ratings, obviously this is a few weeks behind. September 19th to 25th, it's a pretty tough fall off. The Lord of the Rings Rings of Power was #4. Now, the minutes watched isn't that impressive, especially compared to Dahmer. Dahmer's been dominating, and I find it kind of weird, the obsession with the serial killer stuff, but it is what it is. Cobra Kai still up there. That's pretty impressive. Cobra Kai seems to be pretty consistent with how long it stays at the top of these Nielsen ratings, even, a few weeks after the show comes out. And then House of the Dragon right in front of Rings of Power, which is, I've seen a lot more positive reception to House of the Dragon than the Rings of Power, which, obviously, because the Rings of Power is absolute trash. But the fact that it's #4 here, and it falls off so hard just a week after the finale airs, to where a show called Peripheral, which I don't even know will make the top 10 of the Nielsen ratings whenever that catches up to this week, I don't even know if it'll make the top 10, and it already has fallen behind it on Amazon. It's another Amazon show, and just simply based off the fact that it's new content, it makes the jump ahead of the Rings of Power. That's really bad. We also have this article from Bounding Into Comics. The Lord of the Rings Rings of Power writer continues to double down on being immersed in the text. The actual show tells a vastly different story. Now, we've seen the showrunners of the show already come out and say that they're going to stick more to the canon next season. I can't believe the show is actually getting a second season. Apparently, they signed on for 5 seasons. Makes no sense to me why they would buy an IP this large, make that much of an investment, and sign a deal to make 5 seasons. None of that sounds bad, right? Buy the Lord of the Rings or buy the rights to make this show, sign on for 5 seasons. Yeah, that's a good idea. But why take that investment and just flush it down the toilet? Like, I'm not even a big Lord of the Rings fan. I like the movies. I'm not a huge fan. Like, I used to be a Star Wars guy. Now I just don't really care about any of this stuff because they've just forced apathy on me. But anyway, I don't think any of that is bad. I think that's a good investment. But why? Like, just the business mind of mine, just thinking about this is so infuriating. Like, why are you making such a huge investment into making a Lord of the Rings show, which already has a built-in audience? All you have to do is follow the canon. All you have to do is hire people who know what the fans truly want for the Lord of the Rings. And just do that. It's what I've been saying that Marvel and DC need to do, and it's what DC has just started to do, and Marvel's still doing the opposite. But you already have a built-in audience for these shows and these movies. Just do what that audience wants, and that audience will give positive word of mouth to the newer audience, which will grow your audience exponentially. But if you do this, well, you alienate the fans of the source material, you alienate the fans of Tolkien and the fans of the original Lord of the Rings movies, then there's going to be no one to watch your show. Because people who don't like Lord of the Rings already aren't going to watch it. They already don't like Lord of the Rings. And it seems like that's the type of people that they're trying to capture with these shows. I don't understand it. I understand that they want to push this agenda. I understand that they want to push a certain narrative, But at some point, we have to start saying, like, why are they willing to sacrifice all of this money that they're investing in order to push this agenda? Like, what is going on? There has to be something deeper. I guess that's for a different video, but there has to be something deeper going on than just them being incompetent. I don't believe that they're this incompetent to where they can't realize if they just make shows and movies that is geared toward the audience that they already have built into these big IPs. Like, you have one of the big 3 IPs in the palm of your hand right here. Star Wars, Marvel, Lord of the Rings. You have one of the big 3 of all time. And you still, you make an absolute abomination of a show. It's disgusting. And it's not like it's the fans' fault. Because I know a lot of people are going to say, yeah, but the fans will never be satisfied no matter what they do with the shows or the movies. That's not true. Everyone was nervous about Top Gun Maverick. And that movie was a hit. Everyone loved it. Fans of the original Top Gun and not fans of the original Top Gun, everyone loved that movie. There's not a single person I've ever seen or talked to who said they didn't absolutely love the movie and want to go see it a second time. Not a single one. You know, and it's like, so it's not the fans who just refuse to like stuff. It's the creators who refuse to make stuff that the fans like. And here is the Rotten Tomatoes score once again for the Rings of Power. I accidentally clicked on that. 39% audience score, of course, the 85, the classic 85% critic score whenever the audiences aren't going to like the show at all. Honestly, I think 39% is kind of high. They should be proud of that number for how horribly they made this show and how horribly they marketed the show as well. It's a huge fall for Rings of Power to go from number 4 on September 19th through 25th all the way behind a show that I would bet most people watching this video have never heard of before. Like I said, let me know if you have ever heard of Peripheral before. I heard it's made or based off a book, but yeah, I've seen no hype around this show at all. Maybe if enough people tell me in the comments, I'll check it out. You know, it seems a little bit interesting. I've just never heard of it until I saw it take over for Rings of Power. So hopefully it's good. You know, I would like to see a new good show. I don't have much faith in Amazon making anything anymore. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think that the Rings of Power could possibly recover for a season 2? Or do you think that it's just completely doomed and they'll make 5 seasons of just abomination? Let me know what you think in the comments. If you did enjoy the video though, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. If you want to follow me on Twitter, the link to that will be in the description as well. Thank you for watching the video and I hope to see you on the next one.